here. What's up, YouTube? This is your boy John from the Jersey Shore, and I am back with you today to talk about 1982's Poltergeist. Poltergeist was written by Steven Spielberg and it was directed by Tobe Hooper, starring JoBeth Williams, Craig T. Nelson, Heather O'Rourke, and Dominique Dunne. Poltergeist is the story of a family of 5 moving into a new home that is part of a new housing development. Craig T. Nelson, the father in the story, his company has built these homes in here, and he is, I'm assuming, is a real estate salesman. They don't go into the specifics about exactly what his job are. But there is a scene in the movie with him and his boss that refers to him being responsible for selling half of, I believe it was actually more than half of the homes that have been sold in this development. So after they move into the house and they get a bit settled, some strange things start to occur in the home. At one point they show the mother giving the kid, feeding the children breakfast. The older daughter leaves for school, and the younger son leaves for school, well, the only son leaves for school, and she is now in the home with the youngest daughter. She's giving her cereal. She turns around and she notices that all of the chairs are pushed away from one of the tables in the house. She goes in, she says, did you do this? And she says no. She goes in, she pushes the chairs back, turns back around, starts talking to the daughter again, turns around, and now the chairs are all piled on top of each other, stacked neatly on top of one another, almost forming a pyramid on top of the table. So Craig T. Nelson's character comes home from work, and the mother runs out there, JoBeth Williams' character, runs outside, grabs him, tells him he's got to see this, and rushes him in the house. Once they get in the house, he sees that she's putting Carol Ann, which is the daughter, Heather O'Rourke's character, she's sitting her on the floor, and she is on her own sliding across the kitchen floor. Obviously completely unexplainable. Obviously not normal. Something is clearly happening inside of this home. So soon we see the entire family, with the exception of the older daughter, all sleeping together in mom and dad's bed. The TV's on, and Carol Ann, the little girl, she believes that she hears something coming from the television set. So she goes over in front of the TV, and this is where the classic scene comes from, which is the image that's on all of the movie posters and all of the DVDs and VHS that is sold throughout the years. You see Carol Ann, she approaches the TV, she sits in front of it, and when the father wakes up, he looks down at her, or the mother and father wake up, they look over at her, she turns and she says, "They're here." Doesn't explain who they are. She's not sure who they are herself, I don't believe, but this is when things start to go south for this family. So eventually, this house, it all takes place in California. California is known for having earthquakes. They experience what they believe is an earthquake. Everybody runs outside, and they leave Carol Ann inside. So eventually they recognize that Carol Ann is unaccounted for. Nobody knows where she is. They know that she was left inside. They go inside. They can't find her. They run back outside. They're afraid that she fell in the swimming pool. She does not. The father jumps in. He can't find her. Recognizes that she's not in the swimming pool. Tells the mother, she's not in here. I can't find anything. The son is back inside, and he hears Carol Ann's voice coming from the television. So the mother goes in there and she's like, "Oh my God, Carol Ann, thank God." But then she realizes that her daughter's voice is coming out of the television set. So now the focus of the movie shifts over to them trying to do what they have to do to save Carol Ann, or to get her back. So they go out and they hire a bunch of paranormal investigators and so forth. So that's what the movie now becomes, is almost like a rescue mission. So Craig T. Nelson's character eventually confronts his boss, who was the one that was responsible for the development of this housing development, or for the building of this housing development. And he tells Craig T. Nelson's character earlier in the movie at some point that the development was actually built on top of an old cemetery. What he does not tell Craig T. Nelson's character is that he moved all of the headstones to an area 5 minutes down the road, but he did not remove the bodies. And therein lies the problem, ladies and gentlemen. No. So what can I say about Poltergeist that hasn't already been said by a million other people? This movie is an absolute classic. I remember when this movie came out, I actually went to the movies with two of my cousins and their mother, my aunt. That's what she would be known as. And we went to see E.T. And I remember that they played the trailer for Poltergeist before E.T. And I remember the trailer scaring me half to death. They were showing the scene where the beds were being sucked into the closet in the bedrooms, and they were just showing a bunch of different random paranormal happenings taking place. And I remember the trailer scaring me, and I couldn't wait to see this movie. When I got a little bit older and I finally got my hands on it, I believe it came on like Prism, but that's what Stars used to be called, Prism. I believe it finally, I caught it on Prism, and I absolutely love this movie. I've been watching this movie probably at least once a year since it came out in 1982. This movie's got some legendary stuff in it. I mean, the scene with Carol Ann sitting in front of the TV and turning and telling her mother and father they're here. And there's another scene in here with her older brother where he is attacked by a clown. The clown's a stuffed animal. He gets attacked by a clown and pulled under his bed. Then there's the little short troll-looking lady, who's one of the paranormal investigators, who goes in and she cleans houses, which means she gets rid of the spirits in there. Just there's so much legendary stuff in this movie that it's something that overall this time I just never get tired of watching. I watched this movie the other night so that I could do this review, and it just brings back good memories. This movie, believe it or not, makes me feel good when I watch it. A couple years ago, they put out a remake of this movie with Sam Rockwell. I thought that this was actually really well made too. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and I absolutely love Sam Rockwell. But as most remakes are with me, I'm more of a fan of the original. And Poltergeist holds a very special place for me. I'm telling you, I've mentioned it so many times in these movies. The movies that resonate with me the most usually are the ones that I saw when I was very little and very impressionable. And this was another one of those movies. This goes right in line with the original Halloween and Phantasm and Friday the 13th and Jaws and The Exorcist. This movie is like I love this movie so much that it almost feels like it's part of my family. I've seen that. I know that sounds absolutely ridiculous, but I love this stuff, and that's part of the Poltergeist is one of those movies that I just absolutely adore. Unfortunately, Dominique Dunne was murdered by her boyfriend the same year that this movie was actually released. Her ex-boyfriend, I should say, he, from what I've researched and seen, was that he strangled her, and she then required life support. 5 days after she was put on life support, she was removed from life support and she passed away. And then 6 years later, Heather O'Rourke, she was eating and she couldn't swallow her food, and her mother took her to the hospital. Actually, she passed out on the floor. Her mother got her to the hospital, and she passed away from cardiac arrest at age 12. So the two daughters in this movie both passed away, way too young. Continue resting in peace, ladies. You were taken from us way too soon. All right, folks, that's going to do it for my review of Poltergeist. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you really like this video, please subscribe to my channel. I would love for you to go on this journey with me. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a kick-ass day, and thank you for watching.